Welcome to Eye on the Issues. Today, we are going to be talking about the school systems in Wyoming, one in particular, Natrona County School Board. Joining me right now is Mary Schmidt. She is a member of the school board, has been since December, so a relatively new member. Mary, let's begin by talking about you, how many kids you have, the school, how you're schooling them right now.
I'm the mother of 5 kids, and I homeschool 2 of them full time. My oldest 3 are teenagers, a senior, junior, and sophomore, and they are enrolled in the local high school, sort of. In Wyoming, you can enroll in the high school part-time as a homeschool parent if you want, or you can also enroll them in college, and they can bounce kind of back and forth. So it's always been my philosophy since I started homeschooling is to pick what's best for each kid, and that's what we do. So we do a lot of a la carte.
Nice.
But yeah.
So let me ask you this. So what motivated you and made you desire to become part of the school board?
Well, it really, like many, stemmed from the COVID. We did hear let them go back to school that fall of 2020, but they were wearing masks. And my daughter was a freshman at the time and took 1 class, and so we did 1 class a semester because I wasn't sure how it was going to go. And by the end of that school year, probably March or so, parents started to get really riled up and say, we want these masks gone. And I had heard of some moms asking for this, so I showed up at a school board meeting and I listened, and I was overloaded by parents saying, get rid of this stuff. And the battle went back and forth, but they eventually relented and took them off for like the last 14 days. Well, everybody went home. We moved on for the summer. I stayed with several other moms, and we just kept listening, and I kept hearing things and seeing how the board reacted and did things, and then several of the moms that were in the audience that in any other situation we would have never had a reason to know each other, and yet we got to know each other, formed the Moms for Liberty group up here in Natrona County, just all of us trying to figure out how to navigate this and what to do. And so as we did it, some people would bring up issues, and one of them was the books that happened in if I get my year right, the December of 2021, where we brought up the genderqueer, trans bodies, trans self books. And we read out from them. And I think truly the board was surprised. What are these books? You know, was a new thing. And that whole year progressed through 2020 of dealing with this, and 23. So we knew 4 seats were up. So we wanted to put people, and nobody else was stepping up. So here I am. So I ran one of 15 people.
One of 15 people. You won one of the 4 seats that was open. How many seats are there total on the school board?
There's 9 total seats. So there's 4 that were up last year, and then there'll be 5 up next year.
Okay, and so the other 3 people that won are they on your side, so to speak?
No, we ran a slate of 3, and 2 out of the 3 of us won. And then the other 2, one of them was a former board member that ran again, and the other one is a former theater teacher that ran, and he won. So let's talk kind of a split.
Right. So let's talk about the books. What once you realize what were in some of the books, like genderqueer and some of the others, what did you decide to do?
Well, the genderqueer, we looked up the process. The school district hadn't dealt with this. Nobody on the current board, not the superintendent, nobody had dealt with this. So this was new. They did have a policy, although it was not finely tuned. So we submitted those books for reconsideration, and it kind of lagged behind. There was no definitive timeline. There was some references to policies and how things were done, but the policies were very loose as far as graphic imagery and that type of thing for sexual content. So, and because we put those 2 books in, any changes they made to the policy at that point, the books couldn't, they had to apply to the policy that was in existence when they were requested to be reconsidered. So they were being reviewed on a different system setup than what we're doing now. And the previous board did go in, change some of the wording of the policy, make it include graphic imagery, and adjusted it. And prior to us taking position in December 1st, they reviewed those books and decided to put them in for lack of a better term, an adult section, that if you wanted to check them out in the libraries, only at the high schools, you had to go and get permission from your parents and get these books from behind the counter and look at them that way. And that's
And
the way those two have been handled.
okay, so those books, real quickly, were they for? It doesn't matter. Ninth grade, 12th grade. If your parents said
Right.
okay, you could look at them.
They are only in the high school libraries.
Okay,
They
but
cannot
any grade in the high school doesn't matter.
Yeah, no, does not matter.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, and so have now when you say you put the books for reconsideration, you mean reconsideration to be pulled out of the school?
Yes, yes. The process is you petition for reconsideration. A committee is formed, and there are regulations to that committee of how they have to put this together. And they review the books, make the decisions, apply it to the policies. They have a whole system. And then if you're not happy with that decision, then the person petitioning to have them removed can appeal that decision, which then comes to the board. And
Okay.
both reconsideration requests have been appealed to the board. And with the Ellen Hopkins series, because it's 6 books or 5 books, they take them in alphabetical order 2 at a time. So we've done 2, and now we're in the process of reading 2 more, and we'll address that probably in June is what I'm guessing. And then there'll be 1 more after that.
So since you've been on the board, have any books been removed from these school libraries?
No, we have lost the vote, 7-2.
7-2.
Yes,
Wow.
myself and Jennifer Hopkins are the ones that are no, and then the rest are to support or to reinforce the reconsideration committee's decision.
Now I've got to ask you, you're in the state of Wyoming, which is rather conservative. Are you a little shocked that this is going this way?
No, because it's not as conservative as you think. And it's also a very hands-off, we don't want to deal with this stuff, or it's the blinders of it's not happening here. And in all honesty, I know I will lose pretty much any vote, 7-2, for the next 2 years. I'm pretty confident of that, just because that's the makeup of the board. And, but I'm there to ask questions, to bring attention. With the last 2 books that we reviewed, I took a very technical approach, and I took the guidelines for the committee that they had to follow, and I showed how the book, one, it's barely checked out. It's been 15 years these books have been in the library, and between the 2 schools, the 2 high schools we have, and it's checked out maybe a total, the highest amount it's been checked out is 12 times in a year from one of the school libraries. Mm-hmm. It is, and this is what really bothers me, is it's written at a 3rd grade level. That is what the Lexia reading level is. It's at a 3rd grade reading level, but because of the content, it has to be meant for 14 and up.
Right.
And we have had some of them in the middle school, which the committee has said no to the middle school, but yes to the high school. And this is a problem. Like, why do we have such low reading level books in our high school?
Mm-hmm. So let's take a look, if we could, and drill mm-hmm. down a little bit into this. For parents that are out there watching this and they say, well, I hear about these books, but I don't know what's in the books. Can you give us a little bit of an example of the verbiage that's there that is should be so unwelcome in a public school?
Yeah. One of the scenes is a girl who is getting into meth, getting into cocaine, and she has found a man or a boy, a teenager, at the high school that can help get her some, and she's really desperate for some cocaine. And so she goes with this boy, and he knows that she's a virgin, and he says, okay. They do, and they describe how they're gonna, smoke the cocaine or snort the cocaine or freebase it, how they do it in all multiple ways. And he goes on to rape her, and it talks about how, let's see if I can find the one. It said, all I could do was more crank, so maybe I could halfway enjoy it. I was dirty after he started. He got mean. He did things to me, terrible things. I still got the scars. Things no sane person would ever do. Of course, he wasn't exactly sane. Afterwards, neither was I. And it goes on and gives more detail. There is a scene of her at her birthday where she has done cocaine and ecstasy, and she believes she's in love with her boyfriend. And it goes through a detailed explanation of the sexual relationship that they have right there. And then goes on about taking a razor blade and cutting herself, and how it didn't hurt, and other people were doing it. And And so it goes into the details of that nature. And that's pretty much the book. It's drugs and sex, drugs and sex. That's that. And it's written, I don't know if you're familiar with free verse.
No.
It's a poetic style. I believe, I want to say T.S. Eliot used it a little bit. So it doesn't have the full form of a poem, but it is written kind of rhymey like. And the pages are, the words can make pictures. So it's very difficult to read. And it's a 600-page book that could have been condensed into probably a 100-page book if you just wrote it normally. So it's a very, they call it the graphic novel. And a lot of these books for parents, if you're looking anything, look for anything that says graphic novel. That's the first start, because that is the theme. All these books are coming in under the graphic novel theme.
And so let me ask you this, the other members on the board, why do they think this is okay?
Well, they don't particularly like it. Several of them said that one said he couldn't even read it. But he's so sick of this books thing. He thinks there's more issues to deal with than this. So let's just move on and stop this.
Moving forward, what's the answer? Is it you getting 3 more board members that join year 2 and then you have 5, or where do you go from here?
Ultimately, yes. I have put before him, I am on the policy committee, and I have taken the 2 policies that deal with resources and library materials, and I have added into those policies gratuitous language, sexual content that deals with language, which would help eliminate some of this. But I also have added a lot of, I narrowed those policies to be of more, that we need to focus our libraries to be supportive to the academic missions of the schools, and that our resources in it need to be firsthand accounts. So if a history teacher is going in there, they need to be able to have the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, the Federalist Papers, democracy in America, not somebody else's version of what happened in history. Same for science. And literature needs to be as firsthand as possible. So if you're going to read about slavery, it should be as many firsthand accounts of slavery. You're going to read about Thanksgiving, then read William Bradford's journal. These are the types of literature books that we should have. I know a lot of people think, oh, they're banning To Kill a Mockingbird or Huck Finn. I wish those books were in there. They're not always in the library. It's a lot of, our libraries in particular have a lot of just leisurely reading, because kids don't research. They do it on the internet. History teachers will go straight to and say, these are the sites that you look at. So libraries aren't what it was when I was a kid. So either it becomes that, or maybe we need to look at eliminating libraries because we have everything electronically. What do we need it for?
It's really a valid point to consider. So let me ask you this. So I understand, so you're a mom of 5. I know you done some homeschooling. After seeing what you see in the library, do you want them all at home?
Yes and no. There are some good teachers. There are some good classes in the school district. I don't think our school district is forever gone. There is a lot of good in it, but there's also a lot of things that, unfortunately, you're subject to the industry of education. And the industry of education has sunk pretty low. And they are completely caught up in all of the diversity, equity, and inclusion mentality. It's in teachers' professional development. It's in curriculum, and it does come from the federal Department of Education and even our own state Department of Education. So my push is we need to start taking this control back, and we need to stop subjecting ourselves to the national trends, because we can't affect it. I mean, Florida, what they're doing, great. That can affect the national industry. But what Wyoming does in Natrona County, we can't. So we just need to turn it in-house, and we can do it. So that is my hope, and my knowledge of homeschooling, and that there are good curriculums out there. There are great ways of learning. I'm going to keep pushing it. And if I get more people there to support me, then we get a chance.
So let me ask you this. What are your thoughts on charter schools? And I've interviewed a number of charter schools recently where they're classical charter schools, traditional schools.
I firmly support charter schools. They like to say we have school of choice here in Natrona County. And that means in January, you can go and submit 3 schools you want. But it's really not school of choice. To me, school of choice is you pick any school that you want. You don't get on a waiting list, and you don't get, this round robin that we have here. And I believe charter schools are great. I wish, and I will make this point repeatedly, we have just opened one, or we will be opening one in the fall, a Hillsdale charter school. They had to rewrite the laws in the state in order to bypass the district's ability to approve charter schools and go to the state, because they knew they wouldn't get this approved in the district. So it has been approved, and this charter school is opening up, and it's pulling in a lot of kids. And we have a middle school and a elementary school in this district that started very classical sense, but it's gotten watered down through the years, but it's still going in that direction. And I make the point to the school district, why are so many people leaving this? So, I taught a classical model. Mine came from a Latin school in Kentucky that I used for my kids. And we did a lot of Greek and Roman, Latin. So I'm a very firm supporter of it. And I definitely, and that's where I get my original sourcing from, that's what I've taught. And so it's a passion of mine. And it irritates me because I don't care what your economic status is. I don't really care what your sexual status is. You're here to learn. Let's teach them all. And let's truly teach them to think. And the only way you can do that is by reading original material, not having somebody's filtered version of it. And that's very important. And I make these points constantly,
Yep, understood. So let me ask, so let's just conclude with this. If there are parents out there that are in the Natrona County School Board area and they want to get more involved, what can they do?
Well, attend meetings for one. If you're interested, come to the school board meetings, come to the committee meetings. But if there's an issue, or pay attention to what's going on, and then email the board. It does make a difference, whether you think it doesn't or not. It does. You can come and speak. We do have an opportunity here that anybody can come and speak to us about anything they want. They're limited to 3 minutes, but they can talk to us at any point, or they can talk to us for the first part of the meeting. So we listen. We don't interact, which I wouldn't mind interacting, but we do listen, and you can have a say. But you have to be involved, and you have to be paying attention. I'm doing what I can do, but I'm one of 2 people. So either more people need to step up, or more people need to come to meetings and to talk and to look into these things, because it can't just be the 2 of us. We're not going to get very far if that's the case.
Understood. Well, Mary Schmidt, thank you for your time. And I'm sure we'll be talking at some point in the future, because it sounds like this is a fluid situation, and hopefully things move in your direction sometime soon.
Hopefully. Thank
Thanks.
you.